used in Eastern wisdom is upasana. So upasana has many meanings, meditation on a god of name and the form. Upasana also means that you pick up the mantra and do the japa. Upasana also means love for the god or love for the higher consciousness. Simple answer is that our ego says, I am the bigger than anything.
Right. Yeah.
You are realizing that, you see that? So, more and more, when we imagine and visualize how smaller I am. So, in fact, in Upasana, we are reducing, we are decreasing, we are dissolving that idea of the ego and the I thought. It is very important. That is one of the great stumbling blocks in the journey of Eastern wisdom towards, you can say, this self discovery. So normally what happens, we start doing the sadhana, okay, Om Namah Shivaya is okay, you are Shiva, and but still I am here, I am recognizing you. I am recognizing you. So I am still very important to me. But it is the Shiva is recognizing me, and that is more important. Behind that there is a consciousness, and that consciousness is the Shiva. So we will talk, I will switch on to the Gita, maybe 13th and the 14th chapter, where we understand what exactly is this Shiva and Krishna. I think I discussed a little bit about it. So it is very important that you always live into that state where you see you are nothing in the presence of the Shiva. Why? To dissolve the idea of the I thought and the ego. Another thing, you see, our mind or the I thought or whatever you say, the I-ness, is associated with a particular situation, name and the form, people outside, and that is why it prevents you to recognize the vastness and the greatness of the Shiva. It holds me all the time. I thought is more important. And what is I thought? I thought always comes with an object. Say, I recognize you. I recognize you. When I say I recognize you, this is a thought. Thought is an object plus consciousness. That is how I get the knowledge about you. But if the knowledge, every knowledge has an object, thought plus consciousness. So I give more importance to the I thought. That is one way to put it. Other way to put it in a very simple way, and then we will switch on to our topic number 28 to 31 of this text. Uh, Causal body is still a matter. So when the causal body reflects this consciousness, there seems to be a union between the matter and the consciousness. There seems to be. Matter and the consciousness cannot come together. Why? They have a different properties. Consciousness, what we say, the supreme consciousness or the real self. Why they cannot combine together? They don't have the similar properties. Matter is constantly changing. So if matter is really mixing up with the consciousness, then consciousness will change. And if it changes, then a whole journey of the self discovery fails. So Krishna says, pay attention what the Krishna says, without changing itself, consciousness seems to mix up with the matter. That is known as Maya. That is known as delusion. But when it mixes up with the causal body, it is known as Ishwar. No, it is when it mixes up with the subtle body, it is known as Ishwar. Causal body is the mind. No, subtle body is the mind. So there comes with that subtle body, I have to imagine, visualize that how smaller I am as compared to any God. That our goal is to accept the Shiva and the Krishna and the other God is to belittle that I thought. So it happens in the subtle body. What about the physical body? The way I have a physical body, the entire world of name and the form is the physical body of Shiva. Is this physical? So if it has a physical body of the Shiva, so what about the mind? I have a limited mind, and that Shiva has unlimited mind. Unlimited mind means that is what we say the cosmic intelligence, one intelligence. I have a limited mind, but all the minds together is what the Shiva mind is what the Krishna's mind is. I know that I'm deviating, but it's good for deviation. We will talk in detail. So now see, there is one difference between this uh, individual self and the Shiva. What is the difference? Shiva is always in knowledge. I live in ignorance. So I have to move from ignorance to wisdom. Hence, I have to accept the Shiva in my life, or the Krishna, or any God. With that understanding, with this understanding. Don't you want to be a friend with the Bill Gates? Obviously, it will give me a better option, better opportunity. Everyone. Well, normally you see that in social media, I met the president or I met this Miss Universe, etc. etc. We have a natural earth. So it is the same earth we use, not outside but inside, for the self discovery. Outside it is for the sake of attachment, for the sake of recognition. Here inside we are attaching ourselves to the Shiva because we are shifting the attachment from the world outside to the attachment to the Shiva. So we have to create a pattern in the mind so that we get associated with the Shiva or the Krishna or anyone. Now there are two elements. You can associate yourself as a formless God, or you can associate with a form. That is what we did last time. You can visualize the image, it's okay. But that image, you have to experience that you are not even a dust in presence of the Shiva. Again and again, again and again, again and again. That will work not only to gain focus, but also self-absorption. That will take our meditation to a leksada. We are using. Who accepts the Shiva? The mind. How do we understand the Shiva? Through the mind. Well, after all, I understand Bill Gates is the richest guy. Where? Mind. He can give me some projects in some form of some money. But here, the Shiva can give me that real nature. It can show me. Because Shiva always lives in knowledge. I live in ignorance plus knowledge. So, with that understanding, Krishna makes it very clear, very clear. Another way to understand, we are single, we get married, now I am father. I still remain the same, but I have superimposed the label of a father. Same way, that supreme consciousness superimposed as Shiva, as Krishna, as Jesus. That is the secret. Superimposed. I become father, I become mother. But I do not undergo any change as such. I remain the same. So that I remain the same and still it appears that I have undergone the change is Maya's delusion. Sky does not go under any change and still I see the blueness of the sky. Now the sand and the sunlight does not go under any change. Still I see the mirage. I don't see any change happening when I see the highways running behind me when I'm driving a car. So it appears. So we cannot reach directly to the supreme consciousness, hence it is a path. So that is what the upasana is. So now leave that deviation, come back to this our Vichar Sagar. So we have topic number 28, 29, 30, and 31. There he makes a deep analysis of all the practices. Which practice is important, which practice is essential, which practice you should not leave, and which practice you should continue until your body lives. Yajna, Dan, and Tap. Yajna, again you see, that is the beauty. Uh, Ashtavakra says, Naham tada moksho. Where there is no ego, there is a freedom, there is an awakening. Where there is an ego, there is bondage. So, with that understanding, it says yajna, yajna, sacrifice, normally translated. So, yajna also means that I become a contributor, not a consumer. Consumer means I thought, ego. I feel that I'm separate from the world. But this entire world of name and form is the body of the Shiva. How can I be separate? And I'm one in infinite, small part of that Shiva. So there the practical way yajna comes. We'll talk in detail about the yajna, but at present yajna means that I contribute, I become a contributor. Just I remember the sun. Mentally, emotionally, I remember the sun. If the sun is not there, I will not exist. If the space is not there, I will not exist. So let me be grateful. I exist as an entity with the body, mind, intellect, and ego because of the sun. Moon represents mind because of the space, because of the air, because of the fire, because of the water, and because of the earth. I also exist because of my parents, because of my grandparents. So I just I'm grateful. Why I'm grateful? Because I exist because of them. So I'm just dissolving that I thought every day, just for a few minutes. We'll talk in detail. And then there is uh, another yajna is known as Brahma Yajna. After all, this knowledge has been passed by how many masters? More than 3,000 masters. To publish a book needs the support of more than 10, 20 people. How hard they work to find out that every sentence, every verse is clear. I'm grateful to them. So that idea of contributing emotionally and mentally to be connected to these things, to these people, means that I am dissolving that I-ness. Brahma, Brahmika, then it is known as the Manushya. Yesterday in the night, I was just thinking, oh, lot of people. I started naming them, remembering them with the name. Who was the first women who introduced me, by which I started the journey in United States? Oh, she is Casey. Casey helped me. Whatever she introduced, I introduced my mind. I should not forget their contribution. And then I remembered all those people, including you, everyone I connected to, they contributed in my life, they contributed in my evolution. Whether the honey is good and bad, they are still contributing to you. I have to find out what is their contribution. The honey is constantly agitated, constantly. So, what happens? Gradually and slowly, you understand the importance of withdrawing yourself from the sexual activities. In one or the other way, they are always helping us. When the Guruji introduced me this, I said, this is so beautiful. Everything is contributing to my evolution. I have to recognize this. You don't, no, if you don't have a good relationship, with example, with the honey, but now I have to think not in a negative way, but I have to think, make it positive. How it is helping me. Why the hell the existence put me into this situation, into this relationship. What it is teaching me, what it is educating. This is also known as the yajna. You can say it is a manushya yajna, human sacrifice. And the last one is that I should also be grateful to the rest of the living species because they survive, they create a cycle, they are constantly creating an ecosystem. That is why I am alive today. Whether it is my fruits and vegetables that I eat, I cannot grow it myself. So, what is happening when you are thinking in that way? You are keeping that ego aside, totally ego aside. So, we will go in a very deeper way whenever this master talks about. So, what this master says, Krishna says, every master says, you should not leave yajna until you die. This is the first discipline that we should be understood. So that I'm connected to the entire existence, the world of the name and the form, mentally and emotionally, even physically. Another contribution is another practice that is known as the dana. Dana means the charity. Charity means charity physically, financially, emotionally, mentally, through relationship. I'm contributing because I'm talking to you, I'm giving the teaching, so that is also known as a charity. I have put almost 2000 practices on a Spreaker, just free. I see every week I get more than 200 downloads, so let them download. Every group practice I put it on the YouTube or just watch. Learn something. At least somewhere they hit the title and they say, oh, this is helping me. So in one way, invisibly and visibly, I have to contribute in one or two. I keep one book every month to study and repeat it. So I'm contributing to the great masters. I'm remembering that master. So that contribution in many ways. If you have the resources, you offer the food. By thinking, it is always good to offer at least food to 5 or 6 people every month. Make it a routine that you offer. You sit down. It comes from the existence, and that is why I'm able to offer the food. and then check the state of the mind. So Krishna says, never leave this practice. Never leave this practice. So you should not have that idea of selfishness in you, because when we have selfish, then there is an ego. I'm volunteering a session of another group, maybe 25, 30 Ukrainian people. In other group, in Dennis group, they pay me. But in the other group, there are 25 people. At least you enjoy, you get a kind of satisfaction. It is beyond that sense of ego. Because you are contributing. So it becomes, it becomes my duty to contribute, to return the contribution. So that idea must be kept in the mind, because that will keep you connected with the entire existence in the world. So now see, in that way, I'm very selfish. People are saying, I'm helping them. No, I'm not helping them. I'm helping myself. But that help is expanding your mind. So this master has also written that everywhere, he says, all the master says the three practices should not be left. What is the third one? Third one is the tapa. Tapa, endurance, austerity. This tapa does not mean that you go to the Himalayas and practice stand on one foot. This is not to demonstrate that how many asanas you can practice. No. No. We have all the resources with the God grace. We should give a little tough time to the body. Sometime we give a little tough time to the mind. Sometime we'll give a little tough time to the emotions. Otherwise, this mind, emotions, and the body will remain in the luxury, and we will remain unconscious. We will continue to remain in our comfort zone. Are you getting it? We will remain constantly into the ignorance. So tapa means, today you have done meditation for an hour, and then tell your mind that let me repeat it. Let me repeat it. Now, Hani is saying something to you. Initially, you have recognized that you used to get upset, you used to react, and make it a point that you will not react. So create some kind of a discomfort zone and endure it. That is one way of doing it, especially when we are living a family life. In a monastery, we have many ways of endurance. There, the teacher, you are in front of the teacher and they guide you, okay, no, you have to do this. So you cannot disobey the teacher, and there you do the practice. So that should also be introduced. Another way to understand, we will go deeper, but we are just understanding. You can introduce those. Whatever the food you like, and you say, this month I will not eat the food I like. And then I take my mind that eat to live is important or live to eat is important. Because our small ego is hidden there. So we have to bypass that ego again and again, again and again, again and again. Every time we recognize, oh, this is what is happening, it is pushing me to live in the comfort zone. Then what is happening? We are not only purifying the mind, we are also focusing the mind to embark on a higher journey. So yajna, dan, and the tap should not be left at any point. I tell you, my master, I gave you that example many a times. After he got enlightenment for 53 years, every month, whatever the donation used to come to the monastery, and on the, say, 25th, he says, how much is the money? Oh, $5,000. So what is the minimum to be kept in the bank? $500. So get all the money, cash it, buy the things, and invite, maybe based on the amount, he used to invite 50 and 60 monks, and he used to offer all the food and the clothing. Even at that stage, he used to do it. And every year for 3 days, We had such a big feast. 300 monks from different areas were invited into our monastery. And everyone is offered worth of food, rice, clothes, warm clothes, worth $1,000. 300 people, 53 years. He does not need it. He did it. So what happens, we gradually switch on. It is not the money aspect. Emotionally, mentally, physically, teaching someone, they all are kind of a contribution. That is very important. But now the next question comes. This master asks the question, does it help me in Shravan, Manan and Nididhyasana? He says no. Then why I'm doing it? I'm purifying my mind. I've started a higher journey to be connected to the entire existence in every name and the form, in every way possible. So that the moment I wake up in the morning, the moment I relate myself to the family or to the society, to the nation, to the people, to the money, to the luxuries and the resources I have, I'm connected to the existence. Why? It expands our mind. Then what qualifies? These are the initial practices. This is what also known as the Karma Yoga. I will relate it to the Karma Yoga. That leads to the Shravan, Manan and Nididhyasana now. So what comes in between? We have to do the fourfold practices. So first is that normally in a traditional value, first is these three Yajnatan, and then comes that now we start working with the Vivek, Vairagya, discernment, dispassion, six treasures, and the Mumukshu, the intense desire for awakening. Because now I'm connected to the entire existence by the three practices of Yajna, Dan, and Tap. Mind is not going there. Mind is free. I'm already connected in a different. I'm connected not out of attachment. I'm not connecting out of selfishness. I'm just connecting for the sake of connection. I'm connecting for the sake that as if then only we recognize that Shiva is present everywhere. I'm just a dust particle. Well, now I see my honey, I see the entire world as the manifestation of that Shiva. So these first three practices helps me to do the upasana. After that, the Shravan, Manan and Nididhyasana comes. Now the mind is naturally focused. Mind is not going outside to any object. Why it is not going to any object? It is not attached. It does not have a preference of likes and dislikes. I'm already contributing. I'm a contributor. So being a contributor, I'm not a consumer. If I'm a consumer, then I'm attached. So I should keep it intellectually in my head. I should remember in what way I can contribute in the journey for my daughter. That is also good. To my mother, to my honey, whosoever, to my employees. So my mind, the pattern of thinking has changed. I can remind you that also increases the satoguna in your mind. You see, we are just talking satoguna. The higher the level of the satoguna, better it is. Yajna, tap, and then first level of the practice, then fourfold practices, then comes the Shravan, Manan, and Nididhyasana. Now, this master says the Viveka is one of the strongest factor to have an intense desire for awakening. Viveka. Viveka results into Vairagya, Vairagya results into six treasures, and ultimately we have an intense desire. In Hindi, in the local language, he says, this is Shravan, Manan, and Nididhyasana. So what happens because of the viveka? I have a hunger for the real self. I have a spiritual hunger. I cannot live without it, without thinking and contemplating and reflecting. That begins the journey of Shravana. At the outer level, my mind is clearly at all the time. I'm just thinking of contributing. Because if my mind is wants to grab something, I'm attached. So you see that whenever you have told me, there were a lot of thoughts on a given day. Those thoughts will not stay there in the mind because you are already in the mode of contributing, connecting. When he's angry, you are connecting. That's the right way to endure. Don't say anything, remain silent. I'll talk to you later once you calm down. And then you check your mind. You're not teaching anything to anyone, but internally you are changing yourself. It takes a great guts to do that. I told this guy, who returned to me, and I said, "Why the heck you are talking to the other?" And he recognized that I'm talking to her to know that she is even attached to me. So you are looking for a sense of attachment, and in every conversation, you are waiting for her to say, "I still love you," even after you divorced. That is your problem, my friend. So you are not a contributor. Think of this. So what happens in Shravanam? In Shravanam, you have a Viveka is there. If the Viveka is present in listening or Shravanam, it helps you to move to the next step. If the Viveka is absent, it doesn't work. You may be listening for hours and years together, but one thing happens: you keep on listening and listening, listening. It takes little time. So even by Shravanam, you awaken to Viveka. Even you have not done exclusively the practice of Viveka in the world. This is what the master is talking about. Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasan. What is the highest practice? That is the beauty of this master. What is the highest practice? You use the mind and the intellect. So still you use the mind, you say that I am the real self. Tattvamasi. That you are that. You are that. You are that supreme consciousness. So you use this thought. After that, the thought dissolves and it reaches to the real self. What do you say? You have already told that thought is a barrier. Without thought, you cannot get the knowledge. What do you mean? Pay attention. What do you mean? This is mouse. Thought plus consciousness, I get a knowledge of the mouse. So there the master says, you try to control all your thoughts, you put some drugs into your brain. That also gives you a sense of emptiness, and that emptiness has nothing to do with the meditation unless you have a thought first, I am the real self. Let us go a little deeper into analyze this I am the real self, or just analyze. You wake up in the morning. You have a thought to go to the restroom, take a bath, sit in meditation, thought of the food. Because of the thought gives us the knowledge in the presence of the consciousness. That is why I am able to carry out all the activities. Pay attention what the master is pointing to. So, okay, you have many thoughts, you have many objects. Because you have many objects, that's why you have many thoughts. You have many objects, many thoughts, that's why you have knowledge of many objects. It is the mind. You're looking at me, so you know which shirt I'm putting on, my beard, my face, my talking, the screen behind it, everything. It is only happening because of an object. So what happens? This is known as perception, this is known as knowledge, this is also known as experience. Whether you say it is a perception, whether you say it's an experience, whether you say it is a knowledge. So what is knowledge and perception or awareness or experience? Is equal to object, thought of an object, plus knowledge of an object, plus consciousness. Can you know me without thought? No. So Master says the last practice is when your mind is clear, mind can be absorbed totally, you say I am real self, thought dissolves, you are there. That is the meaning I use to repeat the three sentences. The impure mind cannot realize the real self. Qualified mind can know the real self. The intellect illumines the real self. Now see, compare that. So we have to reach ultimately to the last step after Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasanam. Otherwise, it is not possible to reach to that. Yeah, Kundalini meditation, you do the Kundalini meditation or mantra meditation and different types of meditation, and you do not know what you are searching. You don't have a thought, I'm searching real self, you cannot reach anywhere. So because in other meditation journey, in Kundalini meditation, for example, they talk of lot of pranic movement, vibration, visions and the colors, and the mind gets involved into that and it forgets the real purpose. That is why we have dangers in Kundalini meditation. Why don't you remember that in the very beginning? But it is not possible for the seekers who do not have developed intellect to understand. So that is why they go for it. How many people have actually reached to that state in the modern time who have done Kundalini meditation? How many? They get involved. Even the greatest practitioner, my master used to say that they get involved into the vision, pranic movement. But I'm not the pranic movement. I'm not the vibration. I'm not the vision. I'm not the color. I want to know who I am. And I lost it. My 20 years of the practice has gone. It's just become a wastage. And then I start working. We get some powers, no doubt. And we get involved into those powers. Ramakrishna received a Tantra master who did 20 years of Tantra practice. And Ramakrishna Mutt, that is very near to the Hooghly River, just on the bank of the Hooghly River. So that Tantra master jumped onto the water, and many people along with the Ramakrishna watched him that he is walking on the water. You get those powers. I couldn't know. That's no doubt about. So he walked and he returned and asked the master that, look, did you see my power? This is what I have achieved. Ramakrishna said, you wasted 20 years. So I can just cross the river by paying 1 penny to the boatman. What did you get inside? Are you in peace? No, I'm not in peace. So your 20 years are wasted. So that clarity must be there in the mind of a seeker. If that clarity is not there, then we get carried away by these small powers. So you see that three practices, yajna, dan, tap, four practices, fourfold practices. Then we come Shravan, Manan, and Nididhyasana. So you have 3 plus 4, 7 plus 3, 10, plus the last practice is I'm the real self. My mind hears, knowledge is received directly. The real self receives the knowledge directly. So yajna and tap are the external practices. Fourfold practices are internal as compared to yajna, dan, and tap. Shravan, Manan, and Nididhyasana is an internal practice as compared to the fourfold practices. You see that you can compare the beginning, yajna, dan, then we have fourfold practices, then we have Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasana, and then we have the last one. I sit just in a freedom when I say I am the real self. You are that. We'll come to the exact phrase in Sanskrit, what it says. Yajna, dan, and tap. Yajna, dan, and tap. What the master is saying that another objections and solutions this master gives. That's also very important to understand. I just want to rephrase it. The real knowledge is that knowledge which promotes peace, happiness, love, and wisdom in me and in others. That is only the knowledge. The rest of the knowledge is just the skills. You have a skill in your business, but doesn't mean that skill gives you the peace and happiness all the time. Driving skill. So the master redefines that knowledge. Knowledge is that which gives you the peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. So what means you live at the higher and the higher level of awareness, recognizing that peace and happiness. It can only come because after the purification of the mind. Otherwise, the mind will keep associated itself outside. That is why we have Namaste. That is why we have Om Namah Shivaya. Now he argues that. There is another argument, he does it. Does a good character leads to awakening? No. He said don't rely on the good character. What it means? Is he saying that we should not have a good character? Answer is no again. Good character basically purifies the mind. It keeps you away from the duality and a conflict and a fear and that's it. So that is why we should have a good character. It does not mean that it has to do with the morality. No, it is directly related to the mind. It is directly related to the mind. I am performing good action with an attitude of being a consumer. It will not help. I have to be contributor. I have to think mentally that I'm emotionally, mentally contributing every time, all the time. Do nothing, just for 5 minutes. You just close your eye, recall that sun, the moon, how they are contributing to my life without sending the bills. Let me also contribute by saying thank, to be grateful. That enough is required. So gradually we shift from the egoistic demand to a journey to the purification of the mind. Yes, another objections in these four topics he says karma is useful for knowledge in the beginning. Once we become a higher seeker, we do karma because of our family obligations, professional obligations, but no karma is useful in reaching to the awakening. We have to reach to that state of perfection in nitya and the namitta karma. So where the doer and the enjoyer is not there. Doer and the enjoyer is knowledge leads to awakening only through the knowledge. When we become the higher level of a seeker, we drop all the actions, means I drop the doership. I'm doing all the activities. I'm still eating and going to the restroom and doing all the things. So he is laying a foundation for the higher understanding through the karma. He is also pointing out that is explained in detail in the Gita that we will take up later. Is karma the cause of a bondage? Yes. It is because of all the karma this body is born. Cause of this body is the karma. Karma means the past impression. Past impression you say sanskaras. Sanskaras, past impression. It is also known as the vasanas. So if I exhaust all the karma, I bring an end to the cycle of birth and death. So only the knowledge is the cause of. Does the karma leads to the knowledge and awakening? Answer is no. It is the cause of the moksha, cause of the freedom is only he gives a good argument so that we should remember this and we should apply this argument reasoning to clear our mind. So there is a seeker who asked the question, you are asking me to do the yajna, tapa and dana. That is also a part of the karma. Then how can you say that karma does not lead to the freedom? But they are only meant for the purification of the mind. Every karma has something, a sense of incompleteness. Every karma, every action is a sense of incompleteness. Based on the food, you increase your weight or you decrease your weight of the body. So result is based on the type of the food that you eat. So master is saying there you change the attitude of your mind, you get rid of the doership and the enjoyership. And that prepares you to reach to that state of, so that you become a higher seeker and you are ready to go for the. Prayer is prayer, upasana, meditation, namaste, japa, mantra meditation. I have only one intention, that I want an awakening. Keep that intention always clear. Sometimes the intention changes, no issue. What to do about the business? I want a profit so that I can run the business. What should I do? You're asking me to awaken, keep the only that motive. For the professional who are living a professional life and a family life, they are given a liberty. They are given a liberty. As long as you are busy in your professional life, you have to think about the profit. Why the monks are not spared? Monks means I have left the world. I have no intention. So that is the difference between a seeker seeker who wants an awakening, living a family and a professional life, and a monk who is living a who is also going for an awakening. There is a strict condition. No activities for your profit. But there is only one aspect. That is, I'm doing everything for the sake of awakening. Because you are prepared. Because being a monk means that you have resolved from today. You have left all the attachment to all your relations, to the people, to the possessions, everything. Internally, it's mental. We may live in the monastery, you may live in the forest. So Buddha attained that state of enlightenment, and still, I think perhaps the Buddha built more monasteries than anyone, any enlightened master has built around the world. But it does not mean that he was attached. So when you reach to that state, you can still be working and you are totally detached. So his intention was that this monastery is for the people, not for me. And he continued. So that proves that he definitely was a great master. So just in the mind, you have to just mentally you listen to it and think about it. Series of the practices, starting from the first level of the practice, second level, third level, and then sit down and say that yes, I am the real self, and see what happens to the mind through contemplation and reflection. Does the mind keep settled inside? It does not invite any thought. The moment it invites any thought, recognize the object of that thought. After recognition, then check whether the mind is attached and constantly moving there or not. So that is how we filter the mind and becomes pure. That is all